Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Nate Cross. I'm the Digital Content Specialist here at Troy. I'm so excited to welcome you all to the first Innovative Insights webinar of 2024. These webinars will be taking place throughout the rest of the year and will be showcasing Troy's new products and innovations in the secure document and printing space. Before we begin, I'd like to go over a few housekeeping items. If you have questions during this webinar, please feel free to ask them as you think of them in the chat window, but keep in mind all questions will be answered at the end of this presentation. If you're watching this on the web, make sure to hit send or submit. You have to hit send or submit on both versions, but the web version can be a little bit more difficult, so be on the lookout for that. Also, be on the lookout for a little short survey that will be sent out after the end of this webinar where you can tell us how we can improve in the future. Our next webinar is taking place on May 2nd, where we're going to be diving even further into the production printing space. Then on May 23rd to explore the security of MICR, and then on June 15th, we'll be exploring the new advancements to our SecureDoc Sentry software. You can register for these webinars on our website under the Resources tab. Now, let's introduce today's speakers, our Senior Product Manager, Bryan Connington, and our Program Manager, Adam Wilson. First, Bryan brings Troy decades of product management experience from notable companies like HP, Micron Technology, and Synchrony. At Troy, Bryan oversees many of our secure hardware and software solutions. He'll be talking about the all-new TROY WF-C21000 microprinter with color capabilities today. I'll let him dive into more detail so I don't spoil anything. And on to Adam. Adam comes to us with 25 years of experience in the production print space, coming from companies such as Canon and Kodak. And he'll be kicking off today's presentation, give us a little background on Troy, and then later give us a sneak peek, some other new production print solutions coming in the near future. With that being said, I will hand it over to Adam.
All right, thank you, Nathan. Thank you, everybody. Warm welcome to today's webinar. Pleasure to have each of you guys here today. I'm actually going to shut my camera off to kind of conserve the bandwidth, but some of you have had the opportunity to meet in my time here at Troy, others I have not, so I hope that will change sometime in the near future. Again, my name is Adam Wilson, and I am the Production Print Program Manager here at Troy. My responsibility is just a quick nutshell, kind of revolve around all the selling strategies related to production print, orchestrating sales strategies, doing demos, sample prints. One of the other cool things that I have the opportunity to do is get out and visit with some of you and get on site to learn more about your operations and how we can help you solve some of the challenges that you face today. And lastly, one of the very unique things I get to do is be a part of today's Innovative Insight, in which we're going to talk about some new product innovations and introductions. Before we dive in, I just again want to extend my extreme gratitude to everybody on the call today. I know everybody's got a lot of choices to make on how they spend their time. So again, thank you. Today's meeting is exciting. We're going to be shining a spotlight on the latest product innovations with a focus on advancements in the micro printing space specifically. From some of the groundbreaking developments to a few of the game-changing strategies, we're going to talk about how these innovations can help your printing experience. And so now that the introductions are out of the way, let's kind of take a look at what today's agenda will be. So quick overview. Today's agenda is packed with loads of exciting insights, no pun intended. We're going to talk a bit about Troy, who we are, some of the innovation in our history, our research and development, and how critical that is to the product development cycle. We'll touch on our mono-micro portfolio as well. I'll turn it over to Bryan, and Bryan's going to introduce the new TROY WF-C21000, talk about the ink, some of the differences between ink and toner security, the accessories and configurations that are available, and lastly, some of the use cases available for this newest product. And then I'm going to wrap it up with an outlook or a roadmap of what's to come on the mono-micro side from a Troy perspective. And then finally, we'll wrap up with a quick Q&A at the end. So let's jump in. A little bit about us. Some of you are probably completely aware of who we are and what we do, and there's probably a handful of folks on this call that don't. So I just want to take a few minutes to outline a little bit about the organization. We are a 60-plus-year-old organization. We're located just outside of Pittsburgh, about an hour in the Wheeling, West Virginia area. We occupy an 80,000 square foot building, and that building is home to about 120 employees. And what's really cool about what we do is everything, all aspects of Troy, are done under that one roof. Our R&D, our manufacturing of the specialized inks and toners that many of you probably use today, the conversion of the desktop printers from our OEM partner HP, and the conversion of our production devices from Connington and Minolta. We do all of that in the building. In addition, we warehouse, we distribute. All of our sales and marketing efforts all originate out of Wheeling, and most importantly, our customer service. Top-notch, fantastic, all accessible right in Wheeling. So we get it, Troy Security is at the core of what we do. We get it. We understand the importance of how critical it is to safeguard your checks, your documents, regardless of what they are, whether they're printed or they're digital. So we're passionate about helping you guys achieve what would be the highest security standards available in your operations. And, check security is one of those things. It's often overlooked and sometimes misunderstood. And in the end, that'll leave you vulnerable to different things, specifically fraud. But here at Troy, we see this as an opportunity to basically educate and help raise awareness in the market. So we're excited to share how we can make security implementation easier through our different educational resources, like today's Innovative Insight, our blog posts, software and hardware demos, solutions. Again, your security, our priority, and we're here to support you every step of that way. Over those 60 years, we've accomplished a lot. We have been a beacon of innovation, as I would say, and an absolute leader in print security as related to MICR. Our journey includes collaborations with things like the US government, in which we crafted the US Treasury check as you know it today. We pioneered the world's first MICR toner secure product, which is our MICR product with toner with fraud prevention built in. And we've been able to form some partnerships along the way with industry giants like HP and Connington and Minolta that I mentioned earlier. Throughout, we've been able to diversify, and one of the key areas that we wanted to look at and get into and more involved with was software. And we've done that with things like Secure Docs, which adds document level security. We've also, through our TROY RX division, unveiled or introduced Secure RX for plain paper prescription pad printing. And we've delved in or got ourselves into the check payment space with tools like FlexPay, which is a tool that's used with QuickBooks to output checks, and AssurePay, the other product from Troy that is bulk check processing. But all of those things being said, that doesn't mean we stop what we're doing. Our goal is to continue to innovate and be the leader in this space as we have been for the last 60 years. So as we step into 2024, it's a big year for us. We're gearing up for a thrilling year. It's going to be exciting, and there's loads of new things to come, some of which you're going to see today. But before we get to that, I got to mention our research and development organization and teams. These guys are fantastic. Without them, none of this would be possible. All of the innovation at Troy wouldn't be possible without this team. They're talented and what I would say relentless in their pursuit of achieving what they're tasked with every day, which is to create specialized security inks and toners that are engineered to enhance your document security. We have what I would consider to be two teams here inside of Troy, a toner team and an inkjet team, and combined they have over 100 years of experience. Also very cool about these R&D teams for us is while they're hyper focused on creating formulations to work in our HP desktops or KM or our new product that you're going to learn about today, they're also an integral part of our sales process. When we have customer demonstrations, Bryan Lewis, who's a part of that toner team, participates in those. John Householder, who many of you probably know, is also involved from a technical standpoint in supporting Bryan on those demos. If you need sample prints done to evaluate the read signal or the placement or any of those things on a check, these teams are assisting. We've got those paper labs, we've got the team, we've got the tools. The R&D team have got you covered. So it's not about for those guys just creating an exceptional product. They also want to make sure you have a fantastic printing experience, and they can ensure that process with all the things that they do in and day out. So whether it's an HP desktop device or even a KM production press, they work tirelessly just to make sure that the security features that we offer integrate into all of our print products that are used in your environments today. So today you're going to be amazed by some of the latest things that we've been able to do. all of that innovation and our history over the 60 years has definitely led us to a point where we've been able to establish some very critical partnerships with some of the largest names in the world, as you can see here. And these relationships for us aren't just about business transactions anymore. We've been able to be considered now more of a trusted advisor. And as a result of that, it gives us the opportunity to take things like we're offering today or showing today and introduce those into those accounts, the newest products and services from Troy. And today you're going to get to experience some of those things firsthand. So it's a pretty exciting time. One last little bit of an education. And I know the vast majority of all of you on this call are, know very much about MICR and why it's needed, but I think it's a good opportunity for us to kind of refresh everyone. So just a bit of a background on MICR and kind of why it's needed. I say MICR, you say MICR. Everybody's got their way to say it, but at the core, it's magnetic ink character recognition, and it's used for check processing. It's text that's placed at the bottom of the check that the bank scanners are able to decode and kind of convert into electronic data. And at that point, that information is forwarded around and the funds are cleared from the originating bank. So this helps banks and different financial institutions basically streamline all of their check sorting and check processing activities. What's important on that check is the MICR line. And the MICR line is comprised of 3 different numbers. If you see at the bottom, there's a routing number, the bank account information number, and lastly, the check number. In addition to that, there's 2 different fonts that are used to create that MICR line. One of the fonts is called E13B, and that's the font that we're probably most familiar with here in the United States because it's the one that we use. In addition to the US, the UK, and Canada, and several other countries also utilize that same font. The other font that's used is called CMC7, and the CMC7 font is used in other countries, France, Spain, some South American countries. Both of these fonts are recognized globally, so that's good. The difference between the two, E13B looks like digital numbers kind of printed on your check, like what you see on the screen, whereas the CMC7 font looks more like barcodes. So the last piece in all of that is the placement of that MICR line. That is critical. If that line is not in the specific location, it causes bank rejections and RMAs. So those are the elements that make up MICR, why it's needed. And I want to move on. So excuse me, next up, we've covered a load of information, right? We've talked about our history, some of the innovation that we've had over our 60-year history. We've talked even about MICR and its core, what it's for, why it's needed. And at this point, I'm going to flip it over to Bryan because I think we want to get to the point of why you guys are all here today. And that's for Bryan to introduce some of our latest product innovation. So Bryan, I'm going to throw it over to you. Go ahead and take it away.
Thanks, Adam. Fiona. Great. So thanks everybody for joining. I'm not sitting in Wheeling, West Virginia. I'm sitting in Boise, Idaho, and I'm pleased to say the sun has come up on the closer to the West Coast. If you're sitting over here as well, it's coming your way if you're sitting on Pacific time. As Adam said, we started off with 6 years of MICR and one of the industry leader on that. But Adam did allude to other products we have where we're into software solutions for check printing. With our AssurePay, which can do enterprise-wide printing solutions to get checks accurately and audited correctly for your organizations. TROY FlexPay, which connects with QuickBooks for small businesses. Pitney Bowes with mailing solutions. So if you're with envelopes and management of documents and checks and to get those out to your customers. We've already mentioned that we're a partner with KM and Adam will be talking a little bit about that a bit later on the Accuro Press. SecureDocs, which I manage here at Troy, and SecureDocs is a solution that allows you to add layered security to documents at the time of the document's creation, and that can be either in a printed form or it could even be in a digital form. Things with secure barcodes, specialized watermarks, and one of the key features is we can take variable data from any document and include that in the outputted document as well. So it makes it a lot harder to forge or use in a bad way. Additionally, we had a webinar on this earlier in the year. We have printers with UV capabilities, so you can add hidden components to those security documents, and we'll have coming up, I think later in May, we'll actually have a new version of SecureDocs coming out, and we'll be showcasing that and its new capabilities. And last of all, as Adam mentioned SecureRx, which allows plain paper capabilities for prescriptions. But next slide, please, Adam. So that's kind of a bit more than just MICR for TROY. Okay, so we are going to be talking about color in a minute, but I thought I would start off just outlining our mono MICR line, or for those that say MICR, our MICR line. And as you can see, we go all the way from 10 pages a minute, all the way up to 136 pages a minute. And you'll see at the very, on the 10 page per minute side, there's a tiny little printer. It's portable, and that's very, very popular with insurance agents and companies when there's something going on, like a natural disaster or something, and they're actually out in the field able to print usable checks in the field to people that need them directly. We then go through small business. You can see a 35 page per minute, 42 page per minute printers and a multifunction in there, but you do see some big X's on there as well. Those X's mean we haven't actually done anything with the firmware on the printer to add any additional security features. There will be a font, but when this is more small business type use. But once you start getting into those printers where you see the M406 all the way through to the 806 and beyond, you start seeing a check mark. We start adding security features into those printers, into the firmware itself. It's an extension to the firmware, and that enables features that will stop people from printing on the printer, for example, if they're not supposed to. It gives you exact positioning of the line, various other administrative security features, because it's obviously very, very important that someone doesn't gain access to the check stock and then print it. And we add locks to those printers as well, which actually will stop someone physically from using that printer if they're not supposed to, or if they're supposed to, it can act just as a normal printer. And then we go all the way through up, you can see, which Adam will talk about at the end of the presentation, to 136 page per minute production print system, which is going to be used with someone, commercially printing checks for tasks such as mass insurance claims checks and stuff for large corporations, full-blown enterprise. And then, that middle range goes from in a bank, or maybe in a business and an enterprise setting, and that printer is specifically used just for printing checks. But that's our mono lineup. And as you can see, it's very comprehensive. We pretty much have everything for your needs. But let's go on to something a little bit different. Okay, so what's missing? We've got that whole gamut. We go from 10 to 136 pages per minute. All the technology is laser-based, which works perfectly. All solutions here are mono-based, which I'm kind of joking here about the color of business. And with those solutions, we've printed billions of checks around the world, MICR checks, over our 60-year history. And they've been printed on some very, very stylish check stock as well. But it does leave a gap, and we identified a gap. We've had requests from various enterprises to say, hey, could you add color to this? And so imagine we could actually now take some plain stock. And when I mean plain stock, it'd still be check stock, potentially with perforations and other things in it. It could even be some pre-printed already. But we could add branding or key messages in color to make it stand out on that check, so easier to use the check, or to say this check comes from a company with a strong brand, and it identifies that you're providing them those funds, and it raises your brand along the way. And how about doing it 100 pages per minute in something where you don't actually need a whole room, a bit like an old style computer room, to actually run the machine as well. So you can run it in a much smaller footprint in a more normal environment. So let's see what we're going to introduce. Well, here it is. Today we're announcing the TROY WF-C21000 MICR printer. And as you can see, there's a large splash of color behind it. And let's go on to the next slide. Let's just talk about what comes with this printer. So it is an ink technology. It's not a laser technology. It's CMYK, so we have the black and CMY. It has a very high resolution of 600 to 2400 dpi. This will allow us to very accurately recreate some of your branding. It also allows us to print some security features as well that aren't possible with lower resolutions. It's rated at 100 page per minute ISO print speed, or if you're doing duplex, 100 page per minute impressions per minute. It has a recommended duty cycle of about 100,000 pages per month. However, it should quite happily go to 200, 250,000 is kind of where we're thinking, you know, a spot would be for that. We have personally run, well, I haven't personally run, but our R&D lab that Adam talked about, we've run millions of pages through our test machines, and we know from the base machine from people we speak to in the market that they've got machines out there with millions and millions of pages on them. Out of the box for us, we will have a 90-day warranty, bumper to bumper, or as I'm in the US now, fender to fender, on the printer, and then the print head will have a 1 year or 1.2 million page warranty on it, whichever occurs first. Having said that, with the warranties, we will have service plans available, so you can choose the level of service plan on site, the time you need for that, what's included, periodic parts, all those kind of things. We do know from all the feedback we've had of these type of devices in the field that they're very, very reliable. And that is also very, very important, you know, that hopefully you're not using that service plan. Or if you are, we're there and we can support it and turn it around very, very quickly. Adam, next slide, please. Okay, so what's the ink? So what's the special? Just as we do with our toner products, everything we do is matched exactly to the print engine. So on those mono lasers I showed you before, the mica toner is matched specifically to each engine. It's not one blanket toner that goes across. In this case, we have completely matched to the capabilities of this print engine our mica ink, and from out the all the pages we've tested, we're finding a very, very consistent high level of the mica signal. And the mica signal is the magnetic signal you have. So when it's run through a check reader, that it meets the international standards. There's very little deviation, and so there is no rejected checks. And for us, whether you're printing page 1 or page 42,129, it's going to be the same, which is very, very important in this business. The printer comes with 5 cartridges. It has 2 times TROY mica black, and it has a cyan, magenta, and yellow. On an ISO standard, these cartridges come in at 50,000 pages. And obviously, as we have CMYK here, you can now add full color to your mica documents. And in terms of yield, I mentioned 50,000 pages, but we've been seeing typically the way people are using color today on checks, it's probably about a 1% for the color portion of coverage on a page, and probably about 3% for the black portion on the page. It depends entirely what you're doing, and that will change between what you're looking to print, and maybe you add more color, so that could change. We'll work with you to assess actually what the usage would be depending on the type of documents you're using, and that will also help calculating cost of ownership and those kind of things. Adam. Okay, so we talked about security a lot before, and we have a patented technology, TROY Mica Toner Secure, and this prevents check washing. And what do we mean by check washing? It's not kind of putting it in the dishwasher or running under a sink. It's when people try to chemically alter a check to change the name, the payee, the amount, those kind of things. And it's typically done with maybe something like acetone. What will happen, and only with TROY checks, it will give a red bleed. So the industry knows if a check's presented with these kind of red blotches on it, that basically that's going to be fraudulent. Okay, and that's patented to us. Ink is a different technology. So ink bleeds into, I say bleeds into because obviously it's a very sharp image. It's absorbed into the to the surface of paper further than the toner would be on top of compared to toner. And so it is a lot harder to change that. Well, it's a different way of trying to wash the check. You probably end up having to try and scrape it with a razor blade or try other things. Of course, it's an ink. We do not add a dye into an ink, but it's just a different way. It's inherently safe by the fact that it's absorbed into the paper. And on toner, it's slightly different technology, so we have a different way of doing it. Nope, you're good, Adam. Go right ahead. Okay, so the printer comes standard with 2,350 pages of input. but we're thinking quite a few customers are going to need additional paper handling. These paper handling accessories are available. This is a fairly typical configuration we can see from a production print environment where you have 3,000 input in addition to the existing trays and up to 4,000 output. And obviously, if you're printing at 100 pages per minute, you can actually get output out very, very quickly. And obviously, this means less operator time and less intervention, but entirely configurable by you, very cost effective compared to some machines that are in the, some of these large production machines that are very, very long and take up lots and lots of space. Okay, so one of the unique things about this, obviously, as we have color here, we can print everything in one pass. So we started there with a blank piece of paper. That could be a blank piece of paper, that could be some check blank paper stock with perforations in it so you can tear the check off, or it could even be check stock like I'm showing now. So here I'm printing the logo in full color for Urbis Technologies. I have a quality mica line added. I have the check details are printed securely, and I can add digital signatures as well, all on one machine, which is very, very different than if I'm just on a pure mono machine. There's things I can do on this printer. I could actually print that very pretty rainbow background here and recreate it directly from color from this printer. So a very big difference, and it can save you on your stock costs as well. Okay, so where would this machine be used? What we're calling, or the industry calls, white paper manufacturing. Specialized stock costs money. We can take blank stock, blank paper. We can add background, spot color, your branding, the high resolution. There's potential, and obviously would test this with you. Pantographs as well. We've had a lot of interest from the reprint industry, and that's where you have very large production systems running millions and millions of pages, and you need to reprint, say, 5,000, 10,000 items. And you don't want to spool up that machine, which has a 5-foot, 4-foot roll of paper going into it. You can actually use this machine and reprint those and recreate the brand that was on those checks or documents very, very simply. And it's very easy to integrate into your workflow, and a lot cheaper and more cost effective rather than trying to intersperse it in some machine that's now running 1 million pages for someone else. And then lastly, another solution, it kind of comes out of the reprint world, but a cluster solution. So if you have one machine, one large machine, it can be a single point of failure. Here, we've had interest of clustering 2 to 4 units together, and that means you could load balance different jobs for people, or you could actually have some built-in redundancy as well. So 3 different ways of using the machine, but we believe this device will really fit in well for those environments, and we have the team in place, for your inquiries to help us out with that, help you guys out with that as we analyze your workflows and see how it could fit in. I believe I may be Mark. Yep, sorry, Adam. I keep calling him Mark. I've been talking to someone called Mark all morning. Adam, you're up next.
No worries. Thanks, Brian. Yeah, so guys, I know the focus so far has been a bit about Troy, and then obviously the big announcement for us today was the new introduction of the 21000 to add color and micro to your print stream. One of the other areas that we've been really focused on and doing a fantastic job is on the mono side of the world. So I want to take a few minutes just to talk a little bit about that. The last couple slides here, a few years back, before I had the opportunity to even join Troy, we had introduced the Connington Minolta 6136 product in its micro form. And over the past couple of years, we've been able to grow that production print program significantly in conjunction with Connington Minolta and their dealer channel all over the world, including obviously here in the US. We have placements in Canada, Africa, the Philippines, Pakistan, all over the world. And there were a few things that contribute to that success. I think namely the ability to use the same microtoner secure product with our fraud prevention technology that you guys are probably familiar with in some of our desktop solutions from HP. We were able to incorporate that toner into this production level device, clearly setting us apart from anybody else in that space. So everybody else can offer a micro solution, but nobody else has the ability to offer a micro solution with fraud prevention built in. The other piece that we're able to do and develop on our own in conjunction with a third party, Bidec, is a solution called, excuse me, IntegraCheck. And what this allows you to do is automate what is usually a manual inspection process of your checks, because we can now scan or look at specific areas of a document, and then we can use the data that we capture to validate or audit that print run. It's a really unique system on a cut sheet device that, again, will take away what was a manual process and automate. And everybody's looking to automate as many processes as they possibly can. So you can see the image in the bottom right. It has a green bar around it. This is the area in this particular document that we were trying to capture. And so it does that. And as long as the information flows correctly, the machine will keep running. If it does pick up on a misfeed or something like a sequential number on stock, and it skips a number, it will shut the engine down to prevent further running of that job and wasting of stock. So even with all of that success, though, one of the challenges that we had is that we were always just selling a single device, the 6136. And while it was a fantastic solution, it didn't always fit everybody's environment. So, we were looking at a way to further broaden our offering to still focus on application and workflow. The other thing, when are you printing checks? Is it occurring at one point in the month, or is it spread over, the 4-week period? In the last piece, budgetary concerns. At the end of the day, everybody's trying to fit this into a budget of some kind. So we wanted to be aware of that. And sometimes that created challenges with the 6136. So all that being said, I'm happy to announce that coming in 2024 in the second quarter, we will be releasing the following 3 products: the TROY 7120 Acurio press, the 7136, and the 6272. The 7120 runs at about 120 impressions per minute. The 7136 runs at 136 impressions per minute. And then lastly, the 272, a really unique offering. It's a dual engine configuration that does up to 272 impressions per minute. So extremely fast for those environments that require a lot of duplex printing work. And so I will tell you, our toner R&D team that I mentioned earlier, they're currently testing all the toner formulations to ensure that when we launch this, it's seamless and it shows up and it works as intended. More info will become available on these products in the coming weeks and months, so stay tuned as we get closer to launching these products in the second quarter. Lastly, last slide here, I just want to kind of summarize everything that we've covered today, a couple of the key points. As mentioned, Bryan stepped us through the new product introduction, the WF-C21000 that's going to be available here in April. What a fantastic tool for you guys to now take on cluster print, reprint solutions that we've been hearing about in all the environments that we visit. It is one of the most common things that we hear. We need a way to do reprints. We don't want to spool this up on a large inkjet that's roll fed or continuous. That problem is now being solved. White paper manufacturing, we hear it all the time. Let's move away from the pre-printed check stock as much as possible and see what we could accomplish on the white paper manufacturing side. All of that available with different input and output options at high speed with color. Super exciting. And as I just mentioned, the Connington Ultra production presses that we're going to be offering here in the second quarter at 120, 136, and 272 impressions per minute. Just fantastic that we've rounded out that portfolio and that offering. All modular design, loads of finishing opportunities if you need it. We also have solutions on the front end for workflow. We partner with both Fiery and Creo, and we can introduce different workflow solutions there to help automate some of those processes that you may be, having issue with today. And again, we've got installations around the world. So if you're ever looking for a reference point or something along those lines, don't hesitate to reach out and ask us. We'd be happy to provide that information and talk you through it. All of that being said, I want to send out a massive thank you to everybody that joined today. I appreciate everybody's time. You guys make these things possible for us, so I'm glad you were able to participate. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over and we'll answer any questions that you guys may have.
Thank you so much to Bryan and Adam for that presentation. It was great. We are going to move on to some questions that have been being asked in the chat window. Firstly, I know we kind of went over it at the back half of the presentation there, but what is the availability of these printers? Can we just say that one more time?
Yeah, so for the
Brian, I'll handle it. So the C21000, the color product, will be available in April. We're very close. So April's coming. We're right around the corner. And as I mentioned, the Connington Ultra products that we're developing in conjunction with those guys will be probably mid-second quarter is where we're seeing those. So stay tuned. As I said, we'll definitely be pushing more information out as we get closer to those official launches.
Perfect. And what do the pricing models look like for these print solutions? Can we find that out?
I would say that that's best served. I would want to maybe arrange a call. Let's talk about some of the applications, the environments, really understand what challenges you're trying to solve for, what business problems you guys are facing. This isn't the right platform for that because there are a variety of configurations when you start talking about workflow and those different things and automation. Get in touch with us. We'd be happy to answer those questions for you and provide estimates or, ROIs and things like that to help support your needs and what you're trying to do on the financial side. So just get us involved and we'll certainly step you through that.
Awesome. One other question. If I have a print application, how could I test my printouts with Troy?
Absolutely. One of the things, my background, as mentioned, has been in production print. I rely so heavily on the team inside of Wheeling to help support the sample printing process. And it's critical, right? I mean, we don't want to deliver engines into the field where there may be an issue. So sample prints up front as a part of the sales cycle process is critical. It helps eliminate challenges down the road potentially. So get us your sample files. You can email them to us, reach out. If there's information that you feel sensitive, we can always get an NDA in place to help everybody feel more comfortable about the sharing of data back and forth. And with our teams, we can turn around sample prints within a few days usually and get them back out to you for your evaluation. So just again, get in touch with us and we'll make that happen for you.
Awesome. We got two more questions here. Can we find data sheets and other tech specs for the Color Micro, the 21000 printer? I can actually answer that question. If you go to colormicro.com, you can find more information about the TROY 21000. So just go to colormicro.com and you can find that information there. And one other one, are we able to schedule a demonstration for these products?
Absolutely. We do them all the time. As I mentioned, we utilize the teams in the back, but as long as you give us, I always say, give us a few days heads up notice and we'll get you scheduled. If it's something really pressing, we'll make accommodations and make sure that we handle address your needs and get you guys demoed and scheduled accordingly. But yeah, absolutely. We'll do demos all day long. We do them virtually around the world at all weird times of the day. It's kind of funny, but yes, we can do them.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, I think that was all we had for questions. So I just want to, before we wrap it up, I just want to say thanks so much for joining our first Innovative Insights webinar of the year. What an exciting time for Troy. Thank you again to Bryan and Adam for presenting today's webinar and information. If you want to experience this webinar again, it'll be up on our YouTube channel, so go over there and make sure to hit subscribe. Be on the lookout for a brief survey. As I said before, make sure to register for our future webinars coming in May and June. You can do that on our website under the resources tab. You can also sign up for our monthly newsletter. You can always know what's going on in the world of Troy. And with that being said, I will let everyone get back to their day. Again, thank you guys so much for joining. This has been Troy's Innovative Insights. We'll see you next time. Thank you.